Al van start gaan zeker, hè?
Ja, ik stel voor dat we van start gaan. Hè. We zijn toch al met bijna iedereen aanwezig en inderdaad een paar mensen die wat later zullen komen. Dus yes, start to taste.
Yes. Start to taste, dat is de ideale startzin. Enfin, iedereen welgekomen en eerst en vooral aan alle dames proficiat. Het is Internationale Vrouwendag. Ik ben het niet vergeten, zo zou iedere keer een bloemetje willen geven. Bij deze een virtuele bloem. Het is tof dat jullie er allemaal bij zijn. Het is, online tastings is nu hetgeen wat er vandaag normaal wordt, bij wijze van spreken. Eerst een kort vertellen wie dat ik ben of wie dat Start2Taste is. Dus mijn naam is Dimitri Bonte. Start2Taste staat voor smaken. En je zou zeggen, uiteraard, het is normaal als je wijnhandelaar bent, want kort door de bocht ben ik eigenlijk een wijnhandelaar. Maar het is normaal als je wijnhandelaar bent, dat je met smaken bezig bent. En wel ja, dat vind ik ook. Maar toch is het bizar dat heel veel mensen toch nog altijd in grenzen denken. Terwijl Start2Taste net grenzeloos is, in die zin dat wij smaken volgen en die smaken die brengen ons in de wijde wereld. En hoe zotter de plaats, hoe minder gekend de plaats, hoe liever ik het heb. Dus eigenlijk kun je samenvatten dat mijn passie ontdekken is en mijn tweede passie is om het te delen. Met mensen zoals jullie. Levensgenieters en meerwaardezoekers. Fantastisch om een meerwaardezoeker te zijn, want dat is het leven natuurlijk. We genieten allemaal heel graag van het leven. Je kunt een beetje vergelijken, deze rit die we vandaag doen, maar dat is ook hetgeen wat er gebeurt de moment als je hier de winkel binnenstapt. We verlaten de autostrade, wat bijna iedere wijnhandelaar, om het dan banaal te zeggen, doet. We verlaten de autostrade, neem je hand vast en we rijden langs de kleine baantjes. We nemen die kleine baantjes waar we samen op ontdekkingstocht gaan en waar je nieuwe dingen zult tegenkomen, nieuwe geuren, nieuwe smaken. Enfin, onbekend terrein, waar we eigenlijk samen van genieten. Je zult zeggen, wow, dat ruikt hier goed en dat is hier mooi. En zo verder en zo verder. En op het einde van de rit gaan we afscheid nemen en hij zegt, wow, het was super, bedankt. Ik heb heel veel bijgeleerd. Dat is hetgeen wat we bij Start2Taste doen. Vanavond moet je eerst dat zeggen, maar we moeten de praktische kant nog een beetje bespreken. Inderdaad, als je iets wil zeggen, dan mag je jezelf unmuten. Vergeet dan niet jezelf terug op mute te zetten. De bedoeling is dat we een klein beetje interactie hebben. Zie je dat niet zitten, dan is er ook een chat. En dan kun je in die chat alle vragen stellen die je wilt. En we zullen dan zien als we erop antwoorden. Maar Hans, mijn rechterhand, Hans Tak, is ook aanwezig. En die zal ervoor zorgen dat dat allemaal in goede banen loopt. Hans?
Ja, dus dat klopt. Dus ik zou voorstellen, als er vragen zijn, probeer ze zoveel mogelijk in de chat te zetten. Ik bekijk dat en ik ga dan nu en dan een keer de wijnmaaksters, als ze misschien bezig zijn met een uitleg, misschien even onderbreken of tussen twee uitleg door. Even wat vragen naar voren brengen die gesteld worden. Ik denk dat dat het belangrijkste is. Dus vandaag hebben we de 5 vrouwelijke wijnbouwsters onder ons die elk hun eigen verhaal zullen brengen, die elk een van hun wijnen gaan voorstellen. Dus we zien er naar uit natuurlijk. En ik moest ook nog zeggen, Dimitri, van mijn vrouw, omdat je iedereen een bloemetje wil geven, dat is inderdaad een beetje moeilijk. In mijn geval, voor mijn vrouw, is dat gemakkelijker, want ik kom morgen terug werken. Dus je kunt gerust die bloemen aan mij meegeven morgen.
Oké. Goed. Genoteerd. Ik zal dat doen, goed, geen enkel probleem. Trouwens, het is niet alleen proficiat aan alle vrouwen, het is ook proficiat aan Hans, want vandaag exact werd hij 3 jaar bij Start2Taste. Dus, dankjewel Hans voor alle steun en toeverlaat en I love you, je doet dat goed.
Bijzonder graag gedaan, Dimitri. Je weet dat, hè.
Merci. Merci voor alles. Alright. Voordat we zo emotioneel komen natuurlijk, gaan we over naar de tasting. Normaal gezien bereid ik altijd zo een mindmap voor, waar ik dan een kort duid wat het thema van de avond is. En meestal is het thema een land of een wijnbouwster of een wijnbouwer. En ik ga nu eigenlijk naar het Engels switchen, want anders zijn de merendeel van de dames die straks spreken niet meer mee. Mocht je problemen hebben met het Engels of met mijn Engels, want, dan mogen je dat gerust zeggen. Dan zullen we nu en dan een keer vertalen voor jou of jullie. All right, so normally I prepare a mind map where I explain the theme of tonight. But for Women's Day, I didn't do that because I was thinking, what is Women's Day actually? And maybe the women between us now can explain it much more better than I do. But actually, for me, it's everyday Women's Day. I'm not telling you because we are surrounded by mostly women in this tasting. But like we said at the beginning, before the tasting, I think it was Corinne who was saying it, that Women's Day, is it necessary? Well, if it's not necessary, then it's a good point. So actually, I want to now put on a stage, which I always love to do, put a woman on a stage, actually, but I will put on the stage the women which are doing something extraordinary and being a winemaker in this case. And I'm very curious to hear each of her story of what they are doing. Of course, making a story about their wines and their chateau or their property, but also explaining a little bit more in depth how they arrived in the wine business and what they experienced, because like a lot of businesses, also the wine business is mainly a male business. And I personally prefer female winemakers for many reasons, of course, but for sure, they are making wine which is much more elegant and much more feminine. That's actually the case, but elegance is really the trademark of female winemakers. But enough talking from my side. Everybody has the small bottles. Yes, very important to explain. You can already pour them. Dus je kunt de kleine flesjes open doen en je kunt die alvast in jullie glas gieten. Ik zou voorstellen dat je van ieder flesje een half flesje ongeveer uitgiet. En pas op, er hangt daar zo'n ringetje aan, een verzegelringetje. Pas op dat er niet aan je glas valt, dat we straks geen flippo-incident hebben. Dat willen we niet live meemaken natuurlijk. En ook niet offline natuurlijk, maar goed. Be careful. So everybody is now pouring the wine into the 5 glasses they have. And before I forget it, because I will forget at the end, everybody also has real wine gums. There is a small package of candy, snoepjes. And these are real wine gums, which have a taste of a grape. And I think everybody has a Chardonnay, because we have different ones. And I imagine that everybody has Chardonnay in his box. So this is maybe for at the end or for tomorrow, or maybe they're already gone. Maybe you ate them already. It's not a problem. They are real wine gums. They contain no alcohol. And it's a gastronomic candy. You can put it like that. So something to enjoy afterwards or whenever you want. So I'm very proud to announce you 5 women. Maybe I'm going to just start with the first one. And we have the honor to have a Belgian wine and a Belgian winemaker beneath us. It's Vanessa from Chateau de Bioul. Normally she speaks French, but she has no problem to speak English, she told me. So very, very good. So Vanessa, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
So.
Okay, so I'm happy to be here too. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm not really used to this kind of tasting because I don't think it's the best way to meet people, because wine is really something very human. But on another way, it's another way to do things, and we have to get used to it. But myself, I'm not really used to it. So I have to, if I'm too long, don't hesitate to tell me. So thanks you for this invitation. And it's true about the Women's Day. I think it's important and another way we would like to feel as men. So it's important if we celebrate the work the women did from a long time. So no, they guessed they got they have they work hard to be in our place today. We're very lucky. I think the work is nearly completely done. We still have a little problems of remuneration of some, I don't know the name in English, but the hardest work was done, and thanks a lot to these women who are very courageous. And because 45 years ago, no, 65 years ago, women cannot have a bank account. A woman cannot work if the husband is not agree. So it's really tough. So that's my point of view. Of not about the wine. I'm a new winemaker. Only I have only. We begin 10 years ago, and the specificity of our chateau, it's to be a north wine. That's the base of our project. That means we realize that maybe there is a bit too much wine in the world, so not good doing wine again or same wine again with same cepage. So we have the intention to do north wine. First, because we like to discover this kind of wine in Switzerland or Austria. We quite often have very good emotion with the wine over there, and the goal is to probably one day have a Belgium identity. And for that, 10 years ago, we like to go and fetch new variety, and we decide to work only with resistance, so cepage resistant. We call them Bioul too. So there are new variety of cepage who are resistant against mildew, oidium, botrytis. And so that's the interesting thing, I think, about our winery. And there we are.
Maybe I can show you a little bit, because when you Chateau de Bioul is really a chateau. It is really a castle. And if you just Google Chateau de Bioul, just very easy, then you can see a little bit, come on, this is magnificent, It is, yeah, it is what it is, you see it. It's just not a normal wine producer. It's much more beautiful than you can imagine. It is.
Thank you.
You live there, Vanessa, no?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we're happy. It's true.
And you have how many hectares of vineyards?
Sorry?
How many hectares of vineyards do you have?
We have 12 hectares.
12, yeah.
Yeah.
This is, for example, the entry this is the way you go in.
Yeah. Well, we're going to open again at Easter time. So if one of you want to come and visit us, with a big pleasure, we're going to be open at this time.
Yeah, we also you have a restaurant, you have a museum.
Yes, we have a restaurant, but this is going to be a chat because it's like this. But we probably going to organize picnic in the park, or we are thinking about solution to organize something a bit fun during the Easter holiday. So we're working on it now.
Very good.
Ja, dus ik zou iedereen sowieso aanraden voor als je daar in de buurt bent van een keer langs te gaan. Het is echt wel de moeite, zoals dat Dimitri zegt. Het is een echte chateau. Een stuk van de wijngaarden liggen er ook achter. Zijn een beetje onderverdeeld. Ik dacht dat iedereen van de broers en zussen, dacht ik, van Vanessa een stuk wijngaard ook heeft. Vanessa, I think that's in your family, as you explained, you have brothers, sisters?
I have 2 sisters.
2 sisters, and everyone has his own little piece of vineyard also?
No, we are the only one who making wine, my husband and me. We began this project 10 years ago, and we just are the beginners of this new story.
Okay.
But we have 3 children ourselves.
Ja, oké. Dus het is de moeite voor een keer langs gegaan. Er is ook een kleine shop met wat lokale producten. Het is ook heel mooi om daar te gaan wandelen. En zoals dat Vanessa zegt, dus ja, het is noordelijk gelegen in België. Dus we spreken over noordelijke wijnen, bij wijze van spreken, die dus echt wel op frisheid gemaakt zijn. Ze heeft daarnet de naam Piwi aangehaald. Dus die Piwi's, ja, dat zijn eigenlijk de resistente variëteiten die gemaakt worden om ervoor te zorgen dat je eigenlijk ook in een vrij noordelijk klimaat toch wel zeer goede wijnen kunt maken. Dus dat je druiven hebt, of druivenstokken hebt, die een beetje bestand zijn tegen vochtigheid, dat we toch wel kunnen hebben. En dat is soms zomers waar er regen valt of vrij veel regen kan vallen. De laatste zomers nu niet, maar als je denkt 5 jaar geleden of 6 jaar geleden, zomers waar er vrij veel vochtigheid kan zijn en waar er dan ook plots wel warmte kan zijn, dat is het ideale omstandigheid om dan schimmels te gaan hebben of witziekte in de wijngaard. En dan kan je dus gaan zorgen dat je piwi's kunt aanplanten, dus resistente variëteiten, zodanig dat je toch wat minder last hebt van al die ambetantigheden en mooie wijnen kunt maken. So I propose that we taste the first wine, Vanessa. Can you explain a little bit on the first one? We have the Bat de la Reine 2017.
So it's a long time I didn't smell 217. It's a pleasure because I don't have this anymore.
The good part of your wines is that they can age, and that's very nice. So it's a dry white wine, but they have a nice acidity, which makes them really the backbone to go for some years. So that's very nice, and indeed, like you said, to have an older one now. It's not that old, but it's not.
No, it's true. It's true, and we realize that now because we're very new a winemaker. But it's true when I taste this, it's a pleasure because you still have a nice acidity, you have a kick, you have an identity, and you have also something more comfy. I don't know the name in English. You see, it's like if the wine became more. Oh, you say that the flavors are more together. Huh?
Mariage.
Yes, it's really interesting.
But there were a lot of things to do now last years about Belgian wines. It seems like almost everybody starts now making Belgian wine. It's growing very fast.
Yeah.
Why did you start making wine? Just you step up a morning and you said, I'm going to make wine, or how does it start?
No, it's true. We are looking for a project because we are moving to the countryside. But being winemaker, it's first of all a passion we have. We suppose we're going to do that in France one day when we get a bit older. So it's not a project we would like to do. We begin this project earlier because, but I'm sorry for my English because I understand, but I don't speak a lot. So I realize when I speak, oops, I should speak a bit more English. Well, anyway, you understand what I say?
Yeah, perfect.
We decide to make wine because first we love wine, and then, but I think that's all because we decide to love. We knew we are very. We need help, a lot of help, because we're not studying wine, we're not in a winemaker family, so we realize it's going to be a bit tough for us to become winemaker, but we decide to choose different partners to help us to decide, and so we are too old to get to school, so we decide to do it like this, so we learn every day. Every year, and now after 10 years I still have a lot of things to learn. So there we are. We make mistakes, we made good choice, so there we are.
Yeah, but you have a female winemaker, which is
of course. Yeah, Mélanie Chéreau, she works with us from the beginning, so she stayed with us from 10 years now. So we built all the Chateau de Bioul together. We work well.
Yeah, she's
sorry?
like part of the family.
Nearly, she's my 4th children. She's a bit younger than us. She's 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
So there we.
Yeah. And you also have, you are now changing to bio. You have the label on to bio. The bio label you're going to have now very soon.
I don't understand. Sorry.
The bio certification.
The bio label.
Bio.
Ah, the bio. I think
Bio.
Bioul. Okay. Yes. I am bio now. From 2020, we are certificated. We are bio. Yeah. No. It's a normal process for us, and the cépage we work with helping us a lot because they're very resistant. It's not a story, it's true. So the taste is a bit different, and we can. I'm sorry. There we are.
It's not easy. It's not easy to make bio. It's easy to make bio when it's warm and you have a lot of wind. But when you are in a climate like we have in Belgium, bio is not coming just like that. It takes a lot of risk, a lot of efforts. So yeah. Congratulations. I guess you are the only one in Belgium who has a bio label. No, we are more.
No, we are a few. I think we are 3 until now, but most of the new winemaker are asking the bio certification, and they have to wait 3 years to get real bio. So they are coming. Very soon you're going to have more than 3 of us.
Vanessa, I will just pop up a question and I will propose something. I will drop the question in French. Alors je vais poser la question en français et je propose que vous me donnez la réponse en français. Si on a besoin, je vais traduire, il n'y a aucun problème. Je sais que dans la cave, vous utilisez, parce que je suis venu chez vous, hein, un grand merci à nouveau. J'ai vu la cave et vous m'avez raconté l'histoire que vous utilisez la musique dans la cave.
Oui.
Vous pouvez me dire en français, je vous demande en français, vous pouvez me dire pourquoi vous utilisez la musique dans la cave.
Oui. Alors, c'est parce qu'en fait, nous travaillons la plupart de nos vins sur lit. Hein, et donc, les lits qui se trouvent dans le fond des cuves sont très précieuses. Et le fait de bâtonner très souvent, donc ça veut dire remonter les lits, c'est quelque chose qu'on faisait régulièrement. Et puis, donc, dans un voyage, peu importe, je vois une vigneronne ou encore une femme qui a des cuves en plastique et qui m'explique qu'elle a mis les cuves en plastique parce que les vibrations, elle faisait du rouge et donc le marc descendait tout le temps dans le mou et donc ça l'ennuyait, donc elle a mis des cuves en plastique pour qu'il y ait moins de vibrations. Moi je me dis, mais c'est exactement ce que moi je recherche dans l'autre sens. Moi j'ai envie que les lits restent en suspension et donc ces vibrations probablement permettront au lit de remonter en suspension, pas à 1,50 m bien entendu, mais de ne jamais se poser complètement dans le fond. Et donc, on a fait pas mal d'essais avec des baffles, des cuves, etc. Et donc, aujourd'hui, c'est vrai, toute notre cuverie est sous musique, perpétuellement, tout le temps. Et donc, des musiques, ce sont des musiques de méditation, on va dire. Donc, en fait, ce sont des musiques les plus vibratoires possibles, hein, puisque ce qu'on émet comme son quand on médite, ce sont des sons vibratoires. Et donc, ces lits ne sont jamais complètement déposés au fond et permettent donc au vin d'attraper cette jolie structure. Enfin, voilà, c'est quelque chose. Et nous avons essayé avec et sans musique et il y a un résultat dans la structure du vin, pas dans le goût, dans la structure. C'est plus gras, c'est plus… Voilà. Alors, heureusement que je l'ai dit en français. Parce que là…
Je vais faire une traduction. Dus hetgeen dat Vanessa zegt, is dat ze dus de muziek gebruiken in de kelder waar de wijn aan het rijpen is. Dus voor de witte wijn heb je de gistresten die normaal onderaan in de cuve liggen. En wat je dan moet doen is een batonnage om die gist iedere keer terug in de suspensie te brengen. Hè, zodanig dat je een voller karakter krijgt. De gist gaat je wat voller karakter geven aan je wijn. En dan moet je iedere keer die batonnage gaan doen. Nu wat zij doen, en eigenlijk zijn er al een aantal wijnbouwers, we hebben toevallig daarnet iemand gehad van Domein du Phoenix uit Zuid-Frankrijk, Corbière, die eigenlijk hetzelfde doet. Hij gebruikt dus ook muziek en Vanessa gebruikt dus ook muziek in de kelder, waardoor dat je eigenlijk door de vibraties, de muziek die gebruikt wordt, krijg je dat die gist eigenlijk op een natuurlijke manier toch continu in contact komt met de wijn, laat ons zeggen. Zonder dat je iedere keer manueel moet ervoor zorgen dat die gist terug naar boven komt en eigenlijk gemengd wordt met uw wijn. Dus het is een zeer natuurlijke manier. En ze hebben het geprobeerd met en zonder muziek en ze zien wel degelijk een verschil. En dat is eigenlijk net hetgeen dat we daarnet ook bij Start2Taste gehoord hebben van die wijnbouwer uit de Corbière. Die gebruikt Bach in zijn wijnkelder. En die zegt ook van er is duidelijk een verschil als we wel of geen muziek gebruiken. J'ai juste fait l'explication, Vanessa. On a eu quelqu'un de Corbière il y a une heure chez nous. À Start2Taste qui a...
Mais j'ai compris.
Voilà, il fait la même chose. Il utilise Bach dans la cave. Il dit la même chose. Il a clairement une différence entre les deux.
Ça m'intéresse, donc je vais.
Ok.
Très bien, très intéressant, voilà.
Oui, ouais, chez Start2Taste, on dit qu'on est rock and roll dans le vin. Donc, il y a une connexion. All right. Mijn opinie van deze wijn is heel fris, zoals het precies wil doen. Noordelijk klimaat. Het heeft geen zin van hier nu een rijke, volle Chardonnay te willen maken die op hout gelagerd is. That doesn't make any sense. Dus hier gaat ze mooi voor de strakheid. Ik vind een hele mooie mineraliteit er ook in. Zo één die je speekselvorming doet krijgen. Dat is echt hetgeen dat die aciditeit doet. Ideaal als aperitief, bij fruits de mer, bij hele frisse gerechten. En dat is ook een wijn dat je nog een tijdje kunt laten liggen. Dus heel tof om in België iets te hebben van dit niveau, vind ik. En dan ook een keer in een bepaalde prijscategorie van Belgische wijn zijn die altijd goedkoop. Très bien fait, mon avis. Est-ce que tu veux ajouter quelque chose dans votre explication, Vanessa? Ou...
Non, merci beaucoup, Dimitri.
We can come back if people have some.
No problem.
Maybe not very important to just go to the range a little bit, because the range is from sparkling wines and you have 3 different white wines.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can...
Non, mais voilà, c'est vrai que notre plus grande spécialité, on va dire, c'est, puisqu'on est vraiment sur les terroirs du Nord, c'est vraiment de partir sur les vins blancs et les bulles. C'est évidemment en Belgique ce qu'on fait de mieux. Oui.
Voor mensen die de brut of de sparkling wine nog niet geprobeerd hebben, zeker een keer de moeite. Heel verrassend en leuk om eens een Belgische bubbel te serveren. All right. Second one. We have, thank you very much, Corinne from Domain Cox in Luxembourg. Maybe you wouldn't expect wines from Luxembourg, but I can guarantee you, I think the first closed down, yeah. I went to Luxembourg or just after, around that closure, first COVID closure. And I came back and was really surprised about the quality wines which you can find on the Luxembourgese Mosel. And I had the honor to meet Corinne. So Corinne, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's quite new that we work together. It's a recent story. We do make wines in Luxembourg, but we do have quite a long story. Actually, it's the Romans who brought the first wines, and so since 2000 years, non-stop, we make wines. But I agree, Luxembourgish wines have not always been so good as we do them today. So there has been a big change in quality as well in quantity over the last we'd say the 100 years approximately. There was quite a big change, and of course nowadays the focus is always on quality. First of all, because we want to sell our wines in Luxembourg. We do have a big competition. I think it's the same on the Belgian market as well. We have a lot of wines coming from all over the world, so we do have to compete. So it's all about quality, and of course it's also kind of a nation branding. We also want to show other parts of the world that we do have a tradition in winemaking. And although if we look back a few hundred years ago, my family or part of my family comes from the Netherlands. That's probably also the name Cox where it comes from. So wine, my family has always been in Remisch, so which is a small village along the Luxembourgish Mosel. So it was still the generation of my granddad and my grandparents in general. They did not only make from winemaking, but had also kind of a farm next to it. So when I was a child, we had chicken, we had cows at the back of the house, and it was always a mixed company. It wasn't a company, but yeah, and. It was only with the generation of my parents who, when they took over, they decided to completely concentrate on winemaking only, and that's also the time when we grew a little bit in size. Nowadays, we have about 12 hectares of vineyards. And that we really specialize on winemaking. At the beginning, of course, it was only white wines. Since '91, Luxembourg also has an official sparkling wine method, which is the traditional method, and it's called Crémant de Luxembourg. And that is now quite a big focus in our company as well. And we have a few reds, and this is something that will be changing in terms of ratio in the future, because more and more winemakers are producing red wines nowadays and also introduce new grape varieties, not only just sticking on Pinot Noir, but we have a few different grape varieties which grow already and which grow quite well now with the climate change also in Luxembourg.
Okay, very nice. But you also did something with a drone, which had a lot of press attention.
Yes. Well, we try to use, or let's say, we are quite innovative, but the innovation comes not from wanting to be innovative, but wanting to change things and change things to their best. And so we started using drones because of a few reasons. Well, I think there was a good explanation by the lady before me. She uses peewees, so the peewee family, the more resistant grape varieties, because of a good reason. You don't have to treat them so much. And when you work with more traditional grape varieties, you do have to do quite regular treatments. If they are organic or conventional or biodynamic, you have to do these treatments because these grape varieties do not have these resistance against the fungus diseases. And so the idea was to use drones for that, especially to protect the soil. So there was no contact anymore with the soil and the compaction with the soil. That was the one idea. And the second, which is, well, we're starting a research project this year. It's all about the detection of diseases. So instead of just doing as many treatments as possible. Actually, the idea is to use minimal doses and only a few times when it's really necessary. And so it's actually 2 points of using drones here in this context. And we've been the first in the European Union to use them because the European legislation was not very clear about that point, if we were allowed to use them. And so Luxembourg, well, it was kind of a gray zone, but so they allowed us to do it. And so we started in 2019.
It was a cooperation with Lux Aviation.
Exactly.
Yeah. The private jet company, yes? Huh?
Yes, exactly.
I will just do a little translation, Corrie. I think it's very clear, but it's important. As you mentioned, the peewees and the conventional grapes, let's say. Dus hetgeen dat even nu duidelijk wordt, bij Vanessa van Chateau de Bioul spreken over die peewees, zoals dat ik zei. Dus dat zijn druivenrassen die gekruist zijn om 2 redenen. Enerzijds omdat ze resistenter zijn, dus dan moet je minder sproeistoffen gaan gebruiken in een klimaat dat wij hebben. En anderzijds omdat ze ook iets vlugger suikers gaan vormen. Zelfs al is het een mindere zomer, ga je toch gaan maken dat er wat meer suikers gevormd worden en dat je voldoende alcohol in je wijn hebt. Bij Corine Cox gebruiken ze geen piwi's, dus zijn het effectief de druivenrassen die geschikt zijn om noordelijk te gaan groeien. Maar wat ze daar dus gebruiken zijn die drones. Zij moeten weliswaar ook minimaal, maar toch gaan kijken of ze bepaalde dingen moeten gaan sproeien. En dan doet zij dat met drones, enerzijds om te maken dat er niet te veel voertuigen in de wijngaard gaan rijden, maar ook om detectie te doen, om te gaan detecteren waar dat er eventueel ziektes zijn en lokaal dan ook iets van behandeling te kunnen gaan toepassen. En dus niet uw volledige wijngaard bij wijze van spreken te gaan sproeien als het niet nodig is op bepaalde stukken. Dus ik denk dat dat een heel belangrijk verschil is tussen enerzijds die piwi's die gebruikt worden in Chateau de Bioul of de conventionele, niet gekruiste druivenrassen, waarover dat we dan spreken bij Cox. Oké, thank you, Corinne. So I think it's good to taste the second wine.
Corinne chooses the Riesling she made, which is from Kvevri, which is quite original actually.
Yes, so I don't know how many people know Kvevri. If you know, you can maybe raise your hand. Okay, it's not so many people. I've got a mini Kvevri with me. Can you see it? Yeah. So this is actually what is called Kvevri, or we have it already in a much bigger size. This is the oldest winemaking method known in the world. And it's more than 8,000 years old. So it's coming from the Caucasus region, Georgia, Armenia, Iran, Azerbaijan. That is where wine is actually born. And so they still, in Georgia, they still use these Kvevris to make wine in. And so this is made of terracotta and it's buried in the soil. So nowadays you only see the opening of the Kvevri. These are the two Kvevris that we have in our garden, and they both contain, it's a volume of 800 liters. And the method to make wine in is to just, so in our case, we use only the berries of the grapes, and then we add them into that Kvevri and we leave it fermenting and macerating for a certain amount of time. This varies from year to year. This one that you have in your glass is from 2015. And the berries were inside for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then we took out the berries and we just filled it up to the top. And then we left the wine inside for a few months on lees. And after, so in early spring, we took out the wine and we just left it a little bit in steel tank before it went into the bottle then. And it's quite an unusual Riesling because it does not have this high acidity. This is due to the maceration. So when you add the berries for a long time with Riesling, then it becomes much smoother for a Riesling and much rounder. And also because of the berries that were inside, so the skin of the grapes which were inside the grape, you have a little bit more tannins. And this is something that you know from red wines, but it's not so known for whites. It's not overwhelming these tannins, but they are present, and they give also a little bit of complexity. They give richness to this wine, and you have a very length in this wine, which is quite special and atypical it's really an atypical Riesling in general.
Corinne, is it correct if I say that Kvevris, the advantage is, first of all, you can add some more oxygen because it's not in, let's say, stainless in steel, for example, stainless steel. So you have some more oxygen, and also when they're buried in the ground, that natural temperature is used.
Yes, so that's the idea. Because they are buried, you have kind of a natural cooling by the soil. But during the first year, we were still observing the temperature, especially during fermentation. It has risen to 23, 24 degrees, which is quite high. So although it's buried in the soil, you still have kind of some temperature fluctuations, but it does not really hurt the wine. It becomes a different wine, but it doesn't make it bad or worse than in a steel tank. It just has a different typicity.
Dus wat we merken in het glas is dus effectief een Riesling die wat atypisch is. Hè? Dus een stuk voller van smaak. Dus je legt het ook uit van die temperatuur is op een natuurlijke manier geregeld, want die kruiken zitten in de aarde. Maar gaat toch wel naar temperaturen van 24 graden, 6 kan het zelfs gaan. Waardoor dat hij ook een stuk voller is, wat meer extractie van de aroma's van uw Riesling. Je krijgt ook wat meer zuurstof, doordat je die kruiken gebruikt. Dus je gaat dan ook, zuurstof maakt eigenlijk iedere keer dat je wat meer op zijn fruit gaat werken. In Chateau de Bioul. À Chateau de Bioul, vous utilisez les cuves en béton, je pense. Hein?
Oui, donc quand c'est en béton, bien sûr, la musique n'a pas d'impact dessus. Donc les cuves en béton, on les utilise pour les élevages un petit peu plus longs. Donc, et pour surtout ce qui nous importe dans les cuves béton, c'est la porosité qu'elles apportent. Donc, au même titre qu'une barrique. Donc, l'élevage dans une cuve inox ou une cuve béton n'est pas la même qualité. Donc, dont le Mosia que vous travaillez beaucoup et que je regrette de ne plus avoir. Mais il va arriver. Et donc, ces cuves sont réservées en grande partie pour le Mosia, en effet. Oui.
Ja, dus hetgeen dat Vanessa zegt, is dat daar gebruiken ze eivormige cuves in beton, die dus wat meer zuurstof doorlaten. Dus idem dito, zoals die kveeries, laten wat zuurstof door. Het voordeel van de vorm van dat ei is ook dat je wat meer, uw gist gaat ook wat meer terug in uw wijn gaan rondgaan, omdat je dus die eivorm hebt en waardoor dat je eigenlijk een natuurlijke convectie hebt. Dus alles gaat wat meer gemengd worden, om het op een gemakkelijke manier te zeggen.
For Riesling, this is very exceptional. This is actually the bottle, which is maybe to compare with the Kveveria. I guess that was the idea.
Yes, exactly.
It is a very nice bottle. And the beautiful thing is this is 2015, so it's a big 5 years old, and it's still very young. And it is only 11.5 degrees of alcohol. And by the way, the Bioul was 12 degrees of alcohol. So they are, not so high in alcohol, which is a very positive point.
There's one question about what is the difference with amphoras, or is it the same from Dominique? So I sometimes use the description of amphora for this because people understand much better the form of the Cuivre. But technically it's not correct when I say it's like an amphora, because amphora was something that the Romans used, and it was used for transportation. So they put honey, they used it for different kinds of things to transport it somewhere. But amphora also has much thicker walls. Then Cuivre is something that's very thin. It doesn't need to be thick because it has the pressure from the soil, which keeps it intact. But I agree, when you say amphora, then people know immediately the form of the container.
And why did you choose a Cuivre and not an amphora?
Well, the real amphora are much thinner, and they were used for transportation reasons.
But most of the winemakers have amphoras.
But here we really wanted to use the oldest winemaking method. Also, even if our wine making is not as old as 8,000 years, but the whole idea was to use our grape varieties. Of course, we had to use our vinification methods, and we have to change every single year. We cannot just adopt one specific recipe. We have to really change the procedure every single year. But the idea was really to find out what can we do with our grapes with this method, and to interfere as less as possible.
Okay. Maybe just a small introduction to the rest of the range you have. So you have Auxerrois in 2 types, which is also a typical grape. Most of the people don't know Auxerrois. So maybe a small explanation would be handy.
It's I think the wine which most of our tourists choose when they come to visit Luxembourg. First of all, because they don't know it, and the second reason is it's the grape variety with the lowest amount of acidity. So it's very smooth, it's very buttery, it's really easy to drink wherever and whenever, especially just to have a glass of wine, and without being simple. So it still can have a complexity. So it's a really, I love it, and it's really, I think, a very good wine to show what Luxembourg wines is about.
And if you need to compare, because the appellation actually is AOP Moselle Luxembourgeoise. If I compare the Luxembourg Moselle and the German Moselle, how would you define it?
There's a very big difference, and that's the soil. I don't remember, how do you call Schiefer in English?
Slate.
Exactly, slate. That's the soil on the German Moselle, and in Luxembourg we have two different types of soil. One is a bit more sandstone, and the other one is more koipa, more heavier soil. And so the biggest difference is clearly the soil, and when you go to Germany, a lot of different, the most wineries always grow Riesling. It's really the most common grape variety, whereas if you go to Luxembourg, there's a lot of variation. In our winery, we have about 12 different grape varieties that we grow. So I think these are the two characteristics that really are different from one to another.
Yeah, and I like to work with the underdog. You know, everybody knows the German Moselle, but almost nobody knows the Luxembourg Moselle. So, yeah, if you like a challenge, try Luxembourg Moselle. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A very nice wine, just like Chateau Bioul, two completely different wines. All right, Kathleen van den Bergen.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to speak English to you or we're going to speak Dutch for everybody. I don't know what you prefer.
I'm going to speak English, so the other ladies also, other winemakers also understand me.
Very good idea.
Happy to meet a few colleagues, it's fun.
Otherwise, I can do the translation.
Yeah, I can also do it, of course, Hans, if you want.
Maar ik denk persoonlijk dat beter is in het Nederlands.
Dat is waar.
Nee?
Nee.
In het Engels, dat is goed.
I should start, yeah? But Dimitri should probably show a few pictures, because now I don't have any whatever pictures behind me. So I'm Kathleen, I'm Belgian, and since 2010 I make wine in France, in Loire Valley. How I came in wine is a long story. I have a corporate career before that, and I wanted to do something else, do my own thing, probably release my creativity and my ambition and my whatever energy. So I think I got that by making wine, renovating the whole chateau, and also doing a lot of wine tourism. So I think I have 3 jobs, in fact, doing this. So this is the estate now. I can tell you it didn't look like this 10 years ago, but now it's really, really pleasant. Well, we still have visitors these days, but of course it's not as fun as in a normal year when we have many more visitors, and you can also rent a place to stay. So we're in Loire, we're organic, and we cultivate for now only Cabernet Franc, although we are also planting Chenin Blanc right now. So we will soon have our Chenin Blanc in Minière as well. They have a second estate, Chateau, where we have only Chenin Blanc. But tonight we speak about Minière, which makes Cabernet Franc. If I would have picked one wine to represent me, it would have been the sparkling red. But of course, in the small tastings, we cannot put sparkling wine. Because I think the sparkling red really, I think, represents what I stand for, something different, something original, good wine that surprises you, but that is tasty. But my other wine, I'm proud of all my wines, of course, but I also, sorry, Dimitri?
Yeah, excuse me, you said sparkling red. I know it, but I guess some other people say, okay, red and sparkling, sounds strange.
Yes, it is strange. that's always why I say you have to taste it to really understand it. Because when I say sparkling red, you probably think of Lambrusco or sparkling Shiraz, maybe if you know sparkling Shiraz. So I always say there's a lot of average sparkling red in the market. There's a few good ones, really good ones. And I try to be part of the good ones. So it's indeed my own invention based on, well, Lambrusco sparkling Shiraz, I had that in my mind, but I make it with Cabernet Franc, which is not the easiest grape, with quite some tannins if you, and not good tannins if it's not ripe. So it's equilibrium of having ripe tannins, aromas, color, and not too sweet. So yeah, voilà. I think we succeeded in that balance, and I'm very proud of it. So that would be my visitekaartje. So it's my image, my whatever. That's my identity is captured into this bottle, I think. But tonight we taste another one. I shall talk about the one we taste. We taste Rosé de Minière 2020. It is, Dimitri, I smell it.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm also very proud of Rosé. I know lots of winemakers look down on Rosé, which is maybe also why I make a point of making a good Rosé, especially here in this area. I mean, winemakers like, oh, Rosé, I mean, very boring. So, but I love to make a good Rosé, and also because I like to drink a good Rosé, of course. And because I know clients like to drink a good, fresh, dry rosé. So I think honestly, if you discount rosé, you discount a big part of the wine market anyway. My rosé is dry, bone dry. It's a rosé de presse, which means that the grapes. I always say the wine is made in the vineyard. So the grapes are harvested to make the wine. So it's a rosé de presse. That means that we harvest grapes to make rosé. We don't harvest grapes to make red, and then we also make rosé. So it's a big difference, I would say. Rosé de presse, fermented in stainless steel, very dry and bottled fairly quickly, because this is 2020. It was bottled, I think already end of January, because well, we were out of rosé 19. That was first of all why we needed the 20 quickly, and also we shipped to North America, and it's on the road for quite a while, so we have to ship quite early so that it's there for spring and summer. So that's always a constraint with the rosé. So voilà, I propose you try it all. It's organic, as I said. It's very fruity. Well, it's a balance between aromatic intensity, structure, minerality, and bone dry. And it's just refreshing. Not all wine has to be super complex, I think. It can also just be pleasant and fun. And
Yeah, very nice set. And maybe also some new thing which is going to be arriving soon.
Yes. So I'm organic, as you know. I'm quite stubborn in some of my choices. So I, for instance, my wine is made in lighter bottles. I always try to pick lighter bottles for the weight of the wine. And I also believe a lot in bag-in-box as a container for organic wine with less waste and less weight. So I put the same wine in a bip, bag-in-box, carrément. It's a square box, as you can see. And it's also carrément, which means it's also just straightforward. It is what it is. And we make it in red, white, and rosé. And it stays good for 6 weeks once you open it. Unopened, it stays good for a few months. It's just also part of, you can taste a good wine even in a box. Honestly, we don't have to have hang-ups over bottles or boxes. What is important is what is in the wine. And especially, as I always say, it's the people you taste it with, the company you have around the table. I think that is much more important. Have fun with a good glass of wine and some good friends.
That is what wine is made for.
Yes.
To share with good friends, share a nice bottle, because you can have the best bottle in the world. If you are alone,
it's not so much fun.
You cannot share the pleasure, which is definitely not. So that's why I'm volunteering for all my customers to help them to open the good bottles and to join together, of course.
Ja. Dus als ik even mag toevoegen, ten eerste, Katrien, ik vind de rosé is voor mij meer dan easy drinking en meer dan aperitief. Ik vind zelf dat je kunt zeggen dat hij toch een mooi gastronomische kant heeft. En toch wel bij een groot aantal gerechten past. Zoals dat Katrien uitgelegd heeft, we spreken over Chateau de Minière. Dus momenteel hebben ze daar Cabernet Franc staan. De Loire is gekend voor zijn Cabernet Franc en zijn Chenin Blanc. Op het andere domein dat Kathleen heeft, staat er Chenin Blanc. Maar ze zijn nu bezig met op Chateau de Minière ook Chenin te gaan aanplanten. Of dat zijn ze althans van plan. Het is heel leuk dat we daar net gesproken hebben over Chateau de Bioul, met hetgeen dat ze gebruiken van muziek in de wijnkelder en met de betonvormige eieren. En dat we dan bij Corinne Cox gesproken hebben over de Cuvée en de eigenheid. En dat we dus nu inderdaad ook het visitekaartje zien van Kathleen, zijnde de Bulle Rouge. Dus de Cabernet Franc, maar met bubbels. Heel tof, want zoals dat je dus merkt ook een beetje in de rosé, er zijn wat tannines aanwezig in de rosé. Dat geeft hem een heel mooi karakter, vind ik. En dat heb je zeker in de Bulle Rouge. Dus dat is ook eigenlijk dat zijn bubbels, maar dat je eigenlijk ook bij een maaltijd kunt serveren. Heel zeker. Ik weet niet, Kathleen, bij wat zou je dit serveren, die Bulle Rouge?
De Bulle Rouge bij een lichte maaltijd, want er zitten toch tannines in, dus altijd bij vlees, altijd goed. Barbecue als buiten 30 graden is, lichte rode wijn, want het is ook laag in alcohol. En bij pasta, pizza, als het een beetje frisser is en je zit binnen. En in de winter drinken wij dat bij chocoladedessert. Perfect. Zwarte chocola en die Bulle Rouge. Ongelooflijk. En sorbet is mijn man. Ja, het is waar mijn man maakt druiven sorbet en dan de Bulle Rouge daarbovenop. Het is ongelooflijk.
Allee, Kathleen, als ik het goed verstaat, past eigenlijk bij alles.
Lichte maal. Maar ja, bij nu niet bij everzwijn en saus. Hè. Dus bij een lichte maal.
Ja, dat je niet zegt, is juist.
Nee, ik zeg het is een verfrissende rode wijn. Dus daarmee, verfrissende rode wijn kun je wel bij veel drinken. Hè, maar niet bij zwaar vlees ook dat wel. Maar ja. Wine en food pairing, eerlijk gezegd. Mijn man kookt en ik maak de wijn. Dus.
En om een beetje aan te duiden, dat de stempel dat iedere wijnbouwster die hier onder ons aanwezig is, drukt op het maken van haar wijnen. Bij Kathleen, ik denk dat op het andere domein is, werkt hij ook samen met kunstenaars die ook de etiketten ontwerpen en die op het domein komen om de sfeer te snuiven en get into the ambiance. En dan uiteindelijk zorgen voor het ontwerp van de etiketten van de wijnen. Dus dat is eigenlijk ook wel een heel leuk gegeven om even mee te geven aan iedereen.
We gaan dat bij Start2Taste doen ook. Hè.
Ja, dat is goed. Afgesproken.
Het is kwestie van jezelf eigenlijk al jaren stress te geven, want de maat dat je een kunstenaar vindt die goed genoeg is om op je etiket te kleven. Ik heb dat verhaal ook nog gehoord van Liedewij, dat is ook ieder jaar...
Dat vraag ik aan Sven en dat valt mee, is mijn stress? Nee, dat valt mee.
Hij heeft de stress aan iemand anders. Dus
nee, maar ik zei dat ooit aan Sven, hebben we wel genoeg kunstenaars hebben. En ondertussen ken ik er zelf al 60, dus ik denk dat er geen gebrek aan kunstenaars is. Gelukkig.
Ik ben ook beeldhouwer, ik had dus als je me nodig hebt te zeggen.
Misschien vinden we hier nog een kunstenaar of een kunstenares in ons midden, die er ook wilt. Who knows?
Er zijn er veel.
Ja. Dat is kort het gamma. Dus vooral Chateau de Minière is uiteraard gespecialiseerd in rood, maar ook in bubbels, heel verrassende bubbels. En dan de rosé hebben we geproefd. En er zijn ook magnums beschikbaar. Nieuw bij jou is de amfoor, die eigenlijk enkele weken geleden in première gelanceerd werd.
En de helft is al vertrokken. Dus ik heb al stress. Dus we hebben een amfoor, dat is de Vigne Centenaire, dus de 100-jarige stokken in amfoor. En dan het verschil met bijvoorbeeld de Cuvée van de vraag van daarjuist. Een Cuvée zit eigenlijk onder de grond en gebruikt je vooral voor wijn maken met de druiven. Terwijl een amfoor gebruikte eerder voor élevage in de plaats van een barrique, dus die staat ook boven de grond. Dus voor mij is een amfoor eigenlijk zoals een barrique zonder hout. Dus ik zocht eigenlijk élevage zonder houtinvloed. So now I should say that in English, I have a wine made on amphora. So for me, it's aging in amphora. So I made the difference between the Cuvée, which is made for winemaking. For me, it's the red wine, which is aged in amphora instead of barrel, because I was looking for aging without wood influence. So I'm really happy about the result, because it really gave me what I was intending. So the pureness of the wine with an élevage and with the integration of the wine, but super pure. So I'm really happy. And relating to Bioul, I now also have my first concrete egg on my white wine estate, and I'm also super happy of the result, that it indeed gives this envelope to the wine, the body, without any influence of air or wood or whatever. So and it's, I think, the style of winemaking that I like, expressing the terroir and the grape without too much winemaking influence. Yeah. So the amphore also did that for me. Yeah.
Ik zie ondertussen dat Sandy een fles rode bubbels uitgehaald heeft.
Ah, goed zo. Dank u.
Nu zie je van waar dat komt, waar de bron zit van die rode bubbels en het idee is, Kathleen. Ja, voilà, super.
Yeah. I think the red bubbles is also good to surprise your friends. You can take it to dinner parties and people, it's funny. So it's part of the story that you tell each other, and that I hope then everybody buys red bubbles. But it's honestly, I see people like to surprise their friends with an original wine. So I think it's part of, it's fun. It's fun.
Okay, I think it's time to go over to the next.
Yes, Liedewij. Liedewij heb ik... Goh, hoe lang is dat al? Liedewij? Ik heb daar ontmoet in het zuiden van Frankrijk in een restaurant. Eigenlijk is het wel een leuk verhaal dat ik eigenlijk wel wil delen met iedereen. Ik zat in een restaurant eigenlijk, van een Belgische eigenaar. En de sommelier kwam aan mij vragen, ja, ze had de Hanse wijnkaart van de typiciteiten uit de streek. En ik zei van, oké, ik wil iets ontdekken. Geef me een keer iets dat ik niet ken. Dan zei ze, ja, wat is uw smaak? Ik zei, ja, ik hou nogal van vrouwelijke wijnmaaksters. Echt gebeurd. Toevallig het thema. So maybe you speak in English, I'm sorry. So I was in a restaurant in the south of France, and the sommelier was asking me, what do you want to drink? I said, surprise me, but I want a female winemaker who was making the wine. And she said, we have a female winemaker now having a dinner here in this restaurant. I said, oh, where she is? And then she pointed at Liedewij and said, okay, I'm going to finish my meal and then I'm going to talk with Liedewij. And so I did. And the day after we met each other at the property, and since then we are working together.
That's true. That's true.
And I have Liedewij's book here.
Ah, okay. De avonturen.
I read it a long time ago to inspire me on my own journey.
Okay, thank you. Wat leuk. Thank you.
Tell the story, Liedewij. Tell your story. Share it.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I'm much older now. No, but it's the cliche of somebody thinking, I live in the city, I want another life, I want to let my children grow up in the country. So we went to the south of France with my ex-husband, and we thought it would be a romantic project together, but in the end I did it myself. And when I look back at it, I think living with a baby and two very small children on yourself in an isolated farmhouse, it's not that much fun, but now it is. So that's the short story. And now they are older, and it's so funny to see they all get implied in the winery. So that's really my big pleasure. That they,
if I understood well, Liedewij, I've read your book also. You had a hard time in the beginning when you started.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a romantic idea. You think you can do it. And also with my ex-husband, I realized looking back at it that we have a different idea of the project, because he thought we will be the owners of a nice winery and hire people to make the wine. And I had a too romantic, hardcore idea of living on the country and working with your hands. And yeah. And that didn't work together. And then he had to go back to Holland to work, and I was alone with my children there being angry, which is a very good motor to achieve things. So yeah, it worked. And I went to school in France. I studied viticulture and enology in a school where you only have 18 years old sons of winemakers. So I was completely displaced. But it was a good training, and I learned it. And but it's such a big part of your life. Life goes so fast. It's almost 20 years I'm there now. It's really a long time. Yeah, that's where I am. Yeah, what's nice about my winery, what you see on that picture, is that I have on 14 hectares, 25 small plots. So every plot is protected. Yeah, I'm pointing it out, but you don't see it. But there are tree barriers around them. And just the last weeks, I'm having a nightmare because I ordered maart de raisin, I don't know the Dutch or English name, to be placed on my vineyards. And I had 3 companies there already who came, and nobody wanted to pose it. So I have a mountain of Mare on my parking, and I don't know how I'll do it. So it's not always fun to have those small vineyards. Yeah. And here you see it as well, that you really have normal nature with here and there a vineyard. So it's not easy to, you work it really, it's really a hands-on way of working.
It's a very beautiful place to stay and to visit. You are in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
exceptional terroir also. It's
Yeah,
it looks like a dream, but if you read the book, it's yeah.
Yeah, but now it is. It was just the start. It was, and I wouldn't have done it differently. So it is a dream. It is a choice of life, but it's hard, and it's also good if you have to work hard to get somewhere that you. And it changed me. I think I was quite a spoiled person before I came here, and you really reconstruct yourself in a project like that, like this. And that's quite healthy, I think. I think what I did when I was 28, what I earned for money, it was ridiculous. So it's now more normal, and I live in an environment that's much more interesting. And I think my girls, they never would have become who they are now if I wouldn't have put them here. It's really nice to see.
Lieve, is it correct that if I say that it was a coincidence because someone passed by at your place in France, from a newspaper from Holland, to put in an article, and then it's been picked up by an editor of books who wanted you to write a story?
It was a good friend of mine. It's a girl who works for the Volkskrant. And she said, I told her the stories of things that were happening. And she said, it's so extreme, all your stories. I like to, do you allow me to write something about it? And I said, well, I already took notes. I already write a bit myself here. And I gave it to her. And she said, do you mind if I go to an editor? So she went to the Bezige Bij, which is one of the best editors in Holland. And they said, okay, we'll buy it. And we give you 5,000 euros if you write a whole story. And then I was just divorced, and everybody was thinking, now she has to leave the winery. She never can keep it. So that came at a fantastic moment that I could write that book. And that saved me a bit, in fact. It was really good.
Ja, dus om gewoon een keer even kort te vertalen, dat het mooie verhaal is dus, je vertrekt naar Frankrijk, met het romantische idee om een wijndomein te hebben. En anders, alles draait een beetje anders uit. Het is romantisch, maar het is hard werken. En dan plots is er iemand van de Volkskrant die een artikel wijdt aan het levensverhaal van Liedewij. En dan vraagt van, mag ik daarmee naar een uitgever gaan? Uitgever de Bezige Bij in Nederland, die toch een gekende naam is, zelfs in België. Die dan uiteindelijk zeggen van, kijk, als we het volledige verhaal mogen publiceren, dan gaan we jou een bepaald bedrag al geven. Wat dan enorm geholpen heeft om het domein verder te gaan uitbouwen. En uiteindelijk kom je dan tot het punt dat Jancis Robinson, die dan een gekende wijnschrijfster is, Terre Dam als een van haar favorites in de Languedoc noemt, als dat correct is, toch?
Very nice.
Voilà. Dus dat toont aan dat hard werken rendeert. En als je wil geraken, dat je geraakt, Liedewij.
Ja. No, but it's, mag ik niet ook Nederlands praten? Nee, I speak English. For everybody, it's more difficult. But especially if I look at your head, because we always speak Dutch, but I won't. No, but it's so much further in time now. And it is such a struggle, and I think all the other winemakers know that there is not one way to make wine. I remember when I was doing my study, you visit another winery and you think, what that guy's doing, it's brilliant. I will do it like him. And you go a week after to another one and you think, oh no, that's brilliant. I will do it like her. And the time till you find your own way, it takes years. And every year is a new millésime. It's different. You have to make new choices. It's really not at all boring. And that's what I love about this job and this life and this it's really every day is exaggerated, but every millésime, there are so many moments that you can go a bit like this or a bit like this, and always implications for your wine. And you learn every day. Tomorrow I have a guy who will come, who will give, I invited 5 other women winemakers, sorry, it's Women's Day. And he will explain us about microorganisms that they collect in the high mountains, and they work in a certain way, and you can put them in your vineyards to bring back organic life in it. Because vineyards here, they are worked for 200 years. And it's very interesting to try to bring back life. And I'm curious, so that will be tomorrow, another thing to learn. But I'm very busy with that. I'm in a sort of new energy of I want to get better, because I'm organic since 15 years. I was one of the first being organic in Languedoc, but I want to push it further. So I work now partly biodynamic, but there are more practical things that you can do as well. I want to see more wildlife in my vineyards as well.
There's someone who is popping up the question, what do you understand under organic? But I think it's the life in the vineyards.
It's the life in the soil, mostly.
The soil, yeah.
Because even if you're organic, it seems fantastic, and it's the best way right now to work your vineyard, but you have to put a lot of copper in it. And copper, it's accumulating in the soil. That's not so good. So and there's no alternative. If that will be invented, we all will be very happy in organic vineyards. So what I do is that I am a lot in my vineyard to look at them myself from very close by, to avoid treatments. Because if you do the standard treatments every 10 days, you really get too much copper. But if I can apport microorganisms to improve the soil, that can diminish your copper. And get the soil better, bring back worms who air the soil. You need them. You need life, and that's making your wine more interesting as well. And that's my focus at the moment. So you change. You have some focus from time to time.
But that sounds.
Want to see more rabbits, more little deers. They were here one day. You don't see them now, so they have to come back.
But that sounds very logical to do it that way, that you need life in the soil. But it's strange that in the 80s, 90s, that they didn't see that at that time, and that they just ruined everything. It's crazy if you think about that.
Yeah, but I speak a lot to the old winemakers in the village. And in the beginning, the real old ones who are 80 by now. And in the beginning, they thought, well, she's organic, stupid, we don't like that, nah, 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 nah. And now they are really old. And now they say, in fact, you are doing it the same way as my grandfather did. And they learn me a lot about the moon, about things that people call biodynamic. But in fact, it's exactly the same as they did 50 years ago. So you should, I'm really talking a lot to them before they're no longer there, because they're so old and they still have their own vineyards and they work every day. So I should take advantage of them now they're here. And it's interesting because it's another way of seeing things. And sometimes it's so easy. Because, for instance, they told me that in the old days, they always planted fig trees on the north side of a vineyard. Because in a fig tree, you have a lot of microscopic spiders. The wind is always coming from the north. So that way you have the spiders, they eat the bad insects. And for them it was, okay, easy. We do it that way. But I told that at school and they never heard of it. And they started to investigate and they said, yeah, shit, they're right. That's a good strategy. So they started to do it again. But you have to talk to somebody who's 83 to learn. And that's nice, I think, that cycle, that their knowledge is coming back now. And I'm happy they like to talk to me as well, being Dutch. But they forgot a bit. I never lose my accent, but I'm here so long now that I think, okay, yeah.
Ja, dus ik denk dat we hier kunnen zeggen ook dat hetgeen dat we daarnet ook een beetje gehoord hebben van verhaal. Hè? Dus het zoeken naar de natuurlijke manier. Of dat het nu biodynamisch of organic, maar dus ja, zorgen dat er natuur zit. Ja, er was iemand vorige week op een degustatie van ons die zei van making wine, it's making wine with love, it's putting life into it and inspiring life. En dat is eigenlijk hetgeen waarover het gaat. Hè. Dus het leven in uw wijn steken ga je niet doen met een bodem die kapot is of kapot gemaakt is door, zoals dat Liedewee zegt, te veel koper. Maar zorgen dat je op een zeer natuurlijke manier kunt werken. Zoals dat ze het voorbeeld geeft vroeger. Als je tegen oude wijnbouwers spreekt, vroeger werden vijgenbomen aangeplant in het noorden. Die zitten vol met kleine spinnetjes. En de wind zorgt ervoor dat die spinnetjes die dan de schadelijke insecten opeten in uw wijngaard komen. En als je dat dan vertelt in de school, dan is niemand die dat verhaal kent. Maar als je tegen oude wijnmakers spreekt, dan kennen die dat verhaal wel. En daar zijn we nu dus terug volop naartoe aan het gaan. Dat we dus meer en meer de natuurlijke manier gaan gebruiken om wijn te maken. We dat we alleen maar kunnen toejuichen natuurlijk.
Een fantastische quote.
Het is logisch, het is de nieuwe stap. Sorry Dimitri.
Nee, het is juist een fantastische quote in de chat staan van Annelies.
Wat weg.
It's not a winery, it's a ship of dreams. How beautiful is that? Wow.
Winery as well.
I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that quote. Very nice set.
En dan misschien goed dat we de wijn proeven, hè, van Liedewee.
Ja.
Wijn nummer 4.
We hebben La Dame 2017. Dus heel kort misschien het gamma, Liedewee.
Ik heb heel slecht internet.
Ja, heel kort heb ik hier het gamma overlopen. Dus je hebt in wit 2 soorten Le Blanc en La Diva Blanche. Ja. Ben je er nog? Ja.
Ja, ik hoorde je net al.
Vivlat.
Het is jammer, verkeerde timing.
Ja, nee. Dus we gaan gewoon een keer... We hebben nu even gemist. Dus Le Blanc en La Diva Blanche hebben we in wit.
Ja.
Misschien kort eens over vertellen. En dan ook van de 2 rosés en dan de rode, uiteraard.
Oké. Nou, ik moet Engels praten. About my white, I only make white with Grenache Blanc. Because I think that in our region, Grenache Blanc is the most mineral variety. But the appellation doesn't want it. So I try to blend my Grenache Blanc with Chardonnay, with Roussanne, Marsanne. But every time I made a blend, I thought, yeah, it's nice, but I had this 100 times before. Whereas a Grenache Blanc alone is very mineral. It's very precise. I really like to play with it. So I make one that is half amphora, half tank. And I make another one that's aged in barrel for 6 months. I do the malolactic in barrel, which is not usual in Languedoc. And I had my agent in Paris yesterday on the phone, and he said, I let your Diva Blanche taste in a restaurant. And the sommelier at the end, I said, what do you think of which one do you like? And he said, well, of course, I will take the Burgundy. I said, no, that's nice. It was a sommelier in a Michelin restaurant. It's not at all Burgundy, but it's not, I was not insulted by that. It's really what I try doing the malolactic here. And then my rosé, I make them with low yields. It's a classical Mourvèdre Syrah Grenache. And one is aged in barrel as well, so that's really to go with food. And then the red, now one of them you're having in your little bottle. But not the other winemakers. That's the pity that I can't taste your wines. Yeah, it's nice if we could have each other bottles as well, but we don't. Yeah. Dan, you want me to tell something about that?
Yeah, La Dame and La Diva and L'Unique. So what's the difference?
La Dame, mostly Grenache, Syrah Carignan, no aging in barrel. La Diva, mostly Syrah. And I have some Alicante Henri Boucher that's 100 years old. That yields only 15 hectoliters a hectare. It's a sort of a blackcurrant marmalade if you taste the grapes. And that was so interesting. I thought that I put that in the cuvée, and it's aged in barrel. And L'Unique, it's an experiment. It's old Syrah that has aged 3 years in barrel, which is not usual in Languedoc. So that was my unique for me. And finally, I liked it so much that I continued to do it.
And also every year another artist.
Yes. So that's, but that's also a bit stressy idea, because with Lara, my youngest daughter, we were looking on, I had first a friend who has an art magazine, and she said, which artist wants to make the new label? And we had 30 propositions, but really nothing we liked. And then I said, shit, and the deadline, I'm going to bottle it next week. And then we looked on the internet and we saw one artwork that we liked, and we wrote a letter to the artist, and she said, oh, a women winemaker, I like that. And then I found out that she sells her paintings for $800,000. So I think, shit, now she has said yes, but will she really keep her word? And it's not official yet, and I bottle next week. So it's not such a good idea, maybe, the project. So we will see. Or it will be very nice, or we'll have nothing. And I will have empty bottles, and I will find another artwork that is scotched by hand, 2,000 bottles. So.
Either way, one thing you have to do is like Kathleen from Chateau de Minière, you let the artist come over to your place and let the artist stay there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And at the end, you have your artwork and you have your label.
We can help you with the project, Lidwee. Really release the stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really need, but it's so difficult if somebody is there and you don't like the artwork and it's already on the bottom. Then you think, it's not easy. And since the winery is called Terre des Dames, I thought it should be a women winemaker, but it's I'm limiting myself to 50% of the artists, but there are many good women. Yes, please help me, because
you pick an artist that you like. They make a lot of artwork, like ours. They make a lot of their artists, so they make a lot, and then what they make, I pick the ones that I like to put on.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great.
But first, I of course pick artists whose work I like in general. Of course, I don't know what they're going to make on the estate, but for now it's the first step.
Yeah, I should do it that way, I think. And it should be nice persons as well, to have them 2 weeks in your house.
Always nice persons. That is
that is the test first. Yeah.
All right. Dat was La Dame, of wat is La Dame 2017 uit mijn vraag. Yes. Very elegant.
Yeah, it's Grenache Syrah Carignan. The Carignan is about 80 years old, the Syrah 30 years old, so it are all, 45 now. So it are all older vineyards. Low yields, about 30 hectoliters a hectare. And it's, the 17 it's getting very smooth now. It's non-filtered that year. So it's really a low intervention wine that is expressing itself as it should be. It has been in tank for 5 weeks with skin contact. And then I see with time that I hardly press the wine. So I leave them 5 weeks, then I put them in the press. I take them, I turn around 1, 2, 3 times, and up it goes out. Because before, when I did a real pressing, I had more wine, so that's tempting. You see the level going up, but it's getting harsh, the tennis. It's in my wines, it's better not to be too eager and to let it go. So the distillery loves me. There's a lot of juice in the grapes I send, but the wine is smoother. Ja.
En een ander leuk verhaal, Lidwee, is Dimitri leert u kennen in een restaurant in het zuiden van Frankrijk.
Ja.
En jij gaat op uw beurt gaan eten in Aubin-Marie in Deinze, een restaurant niet zo ver van hier.
Ja.
En daardoor leren wij dan uiteindelijk Aubin-Marie kennen. We hebben hier ook iemand van Aubin-Marie onder ons. En op die manier spread the message. Leuk, hè?
Ja, maar dat is wijn. Ik vind het, it's so surprising in wine that the type of people you meet. It's my daughters, they're always surprised because there are so many people who have a very illogical background if you have a team of tasting and you are with 20 people and you ask what they did before, they have been journalists, they have been working in businesses, they had did strange things in lives, and they came to wine from different ways. And also people who sell wines. It's we had a group of a few, an agent from the north of France last week with 3 other people. And my daughter, she's 19, but she was having such a good evening. She said, but there are always nice people in wine. I think, now often, yes. It's, there is something, it's, I don't know, there's some energy, some kind of people. It's funny.
Hans, I think she needs something from us.
The wine unites.
I didn't talk about you. It was from France. It was, well, nice.
Okay, let's go over to the fifth winery from Priorat.
We continue our journey and we go to Spain.
Yeah.
And we have Anna.
Hello, nice to be here. It's actually a pleasure, and I was really amazed about the wines we have been tasting, especially the wine from Belgium. I was really amazed. I never tasted a wine from there. So thanks for the tasting. Well, after hearing you all, I think my story is a bit different, because I was born in Priorat, and I did the opposite. I ran away and I went north. Strange. I was born in a city there where it's a bunch of stones, and people that have visited it, it's like, okay, how can you grow things here? It's just slate and dryness, and it's a bit like this, but that's what makes our wines quite unique. So I was born in a family who owned vineyards, but they didn't do nothing with the grapes. They sold it to in bulk productions to a cooperative, and then around the 80s, when the new revolution, when the new winemakers came to Priorat and became to hire the quality of the wines and then bottle it, my family made a shift, and instead of selling it to the cooperatives, they decided to sell it to the new winemakers. And that was good, but it's not enough, because if you want to really experience the winemaking, you have to have control over the whole process. And that's what that's what the generation shift did. I mean, I'm placed in Denmark. I live in Denmark, actually, and I had a life completely different from winemaking. But the past, if you don't run very fast, the past will catch you, and that's what happened to me. I was in the north doing something completely different, and my friend Sergi, who's Sergi and I own the winery, called me one day and said, listen, your parents are getting old, my parents are getting old, maybe we should start doing something together. Sorry. And that's how in 2014 we started to vinificate our own wine, and that's how the whole story started. Impressive. So we have been making wine since our own wine, since 2014. That was the first vintage. And what we wanted to do is sorry, what we wanted to do is making wines which didn't have wood influence, because the first thing you think when you think Priorat is lots of wood in the wine. We wanted to make wines like nude wines, and we thought, okay, what do? We need a kind of aging, but we shouldn't have the influence of wood, because we wanted to present the terroir. And I remember when my family was making wine at home, I always said to my parents, please don't put it in the wood before, let me taste it before. I want to taste the grape, you know. And And then they said, okay, you can have this 5 liters for you, and then we'll put it on wood. So we thought about, we thought we want to oxygenate the wine. We want to like appreciate what the slate gives, what the terroir gives, and we decided to age it in amphora and in still. And that's a very difficult balance to find, because if some of our wines are made only in amphora, but the wine we're tasting tonight, which is Unanime Symbiosis 2017, it's made 20% amphora and the rest is made in still. And what we want to do with that combination is we have Carignan. It's 100% Carignan, and Carignan has a very, very aggressive tannins. So what we with the amphora, we round the wine in a way we like, and we don't transfer any flavor. And if with the still, by putting 80% in still, what we do is we like we want the wine, the aggressivity in the wine as well, because the smoothness and the aggressivity is what this wine is about in a way. So it has a long life still. It's maybe 10 years from here it will be totally smooth, but we want to keep this freshness, and that's what we were doing with this wine tonight.
I like it when you said we want to make a wine without the oak, so a wine which is nude. And actually that's what it is, because if you use oak, you can mask a lot of things.
Yes.
If you have a good wine, it would be a shame to mask it by the wood. We always compare it here at Start2Taste that oak is just like makeup. You can hide a lot of things with it.
You can hide a lot of things with it. If the oak is well integrated, it's a pleasure. But you can also hide the failures in wine, the mistakes a wine has. You can just put it in oak, and then they will be hidden. So what we are doing is like taking all the makeup away from the wine and presenting what we think a Priorat also can be, right?
If people know Priorat, I don't know, but if some people have some experience with Priorat. It's since I never had a Priorat before. It's since I met Anna that we started with Priorat. But Priorat is always a wine which is bodybuilding, high in alcohol, and it blows you away when you drink it. It's overwhelming. After a glass, you say, okay, I want something else. But this is a typical example of having a region which makes really intense wines. And then you have a female winemaker which makes it elegant. It's unbelievable in a region like Priorat.
Well, you cannot run away from the climate, and that's the big thing. It's getting hotter, and it's art to know to pick the right time to have the grapes, because what happens if it's very intense temperatures, the skin will ripe very, very fast, but inside you will still it won't be concatenated with the wine, with the alcohol. So it's really art to pick up the right date when the skin and the alcohol inside are like a fusion, because as you say, some Priorat wines will blow you because of the alcohol, and we cannot run from the alcohol, but what we can do is make you forget the alcohol, right? And that's what we are trying with our wines. This one is, I think it's 15 and a half, the one we're having tonight, and all the wines in Priorat, they are around 14 and a half, 15, 16, which is a lot. But again, it's a very sunny region, so the thing you can do is try to not intervene a lot, so you have these mature grapes, but they don't need, alcohol doesn't need to be the first thing you think when you drink the wine from Priorat. It's there, but it doesn't have to be in the spotlight.
15.5, if you didn't say it, I guess a lot of people wouldn't expect 15.5. And it can be 15.5 or 16. If you don't feel it, it's nice and balanced, and it's really good made.
We always try. Sorry.
Dat is uiteindelijk de kunst van een wijn te maken die, ja, zoals dat Anna ook zegt, ja, priorat. Hè. We weten dat er veel bodybuilder wijnen zijn met veel alcohol. Dikwijls ook veel eik die gebruikt wordt. Dingen worden gemaskeerd. Maar zij slagen er dus in van deze wijn te maken die qua alcohol vrij hoog zit, maar wat je niet zou zeggen. Dus die is zeer, zeer elegant gemaakt. Gebruiken dus ook amfores. Voor een stuk zijn hier 20% amfores gebruikt, de rest is in staal. En op die manier krijg je dus, ja, zoals het zelf zegt, zachtheid en toch een soort van agressiviteit, bij wijze van spreken. Die Carignan is toch wel een vrij agressieve druif zijn. Maar zij maken daar deze schitterende wijn mee, die zeer, zeer elegant gemaakt is. I'm just translating, Anna, that you mentioned the Carignan as, we can say, aggressive as a grape. It's powerful, but you succeed to make it smooth, elegant, and on another way, aggressivity still is in it.
Yeah, it is painted in a way, otherwise it won't be a Carignan wine. But you can make the tannins more elegant, and the use of amphora is for us has been the key to tame this variety.
These beauties, you mean, Anna?
Yes, exactly.
This is a picture made from a good friend and customer, which is also attending this tasting. He just sent it through the chat.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you. Michael. Wil je zeggen, jongen? Anders doe maar, hè.
Ja, ik ben er zelf vorige zomer geweest bij Sergej, denk ik was het, en dan een tolk. En ik moet zeggen, het was voor mij een zeer unieke belevenis. Heel mooie streek. Eigenlijk zo'n mooie streek dat we eigenlijk de komende jaren waarschijnlijk toch terug en daar gaan op vakantie. En dan waarschijnlijk de streek daar verder gaan verkennen. Ik heb die dag 2 wijnhuizen gedaan. Op voorstel van Anna, denk ik. En de eerste was bij haar. En het was een heel leuke ervaring. En ja, natuurlijk die ervaring maakt het wijnproeven nog iets mooier en aangenamer. En maakt de wijn nog die 10 of 20 of 30% nog extra meer of beter dan als er geen verhaal aan hangt. Hè. Dus nee, voor mij is dat een topper, eerlijk gezegd.
Dankjewel.
Understood top.
Ja.
Wat?
I only understood top.
Okay. Yeah, it's top wine. It's top wine. It's a good story. Nice environment. So it makes the wine 10 or 20% more better when you know the story, when you've seen the winery. We come back next summer.
That's great. With pleasure.
Okay. All right, let's taste it. Or maybe people have tasted already, I guess. No? And why did you choose the name Villusionist?
Because V in Catalan means wine, and illusionist, it's like we are making illusions with the wine, and illusionist, we played with the 2 words. Villusionist. It's not that we are making magical wines, but we try to. We have some secret ingredients which we are not going to talk about, of course. One of them is the amphora, and the other ones we don't use music, but I've thought about it too, because the clay is also very receptive for the waves, and I've heard a lot of people doing that, so that could be a very inspirational.
It works. Believe me.
Okay.
The contrast between, let's say, Vanessa from Belgium and you in Spain, which is a very hot and a very cool climate, could not be even more farther away from each other, I guess. So
no,
it's true. It's true.
Especially when I try a wine, is really incredible. It's amazing. You all amazing, really.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Maybe we should
Because
send a box,
I think
a box
when
of
we
wine
are
to everybody.
winemakers,
So we can enjoy
I think we have
each
to
other's.
organize something. It's true. But it's true, I realize when to send us wine, because I don't know if you can do that, but I can try your wine now.
Yes, I've tasted yours too. I received it this morning.
But that's great. That's a nice present. Thanks you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think the overall resume about all the wines. Maybe Anna, maybe you should talk about the other wines you have.
Yes, yes, of course. Unanime is a Grenache. Unanime 2019 is we like to make monovarietals, and that's 100% Grenache. And then Unanime Symbiosis, which is the one from today, it's 100% Carignan. And then we wanted to, we started to becoming more confident with winemaking, and we wanted to make wines with almost zero intervention, and that was the Equanime series, which we have Equanime Blanc Brisat, which is a white wine made of Grenache Blanc and Macabeo. We always work with varieties from the zone, autochthon, and it has been on skins for 12 days. In amphora, and then we press it and put it back in the amphora, sometimes not, depending the roundness of the wine. And it has, we don't filtrate, almost nothing. And this Blanc Brisat, it's bottled after 7-8 months, and there are very small batches. We produce around 700 bottles of Blanc Brisat, and around the other Equanime, which is the red one, which is a blend of Grenache and Carignan. It has it's been in amphora for 9 months, and it's from all older vines, and it's we only add a very little amount of sulfites. And then we have our Grand Cuvée, which is Grand Unanime, which is 100% Carignan from very old vineyard, which is 75 years old. And the production is around 300 bottles. The year 2015 was 500, but it's going down because it's a very old vineyard. What we do with that is we put the whole grape in amphora for 6 months. And then we press it and then we put it in bottles and age for 2.5 years before it comes to the market. So it's a very it's a bomb of fruit and expressions from the old Carignan. So basically, what we do is the soil does the work for us, and we just help the grapes when they come into the cellar with amphora and inox, and that's it. And then the magic I told you about before.
Last week we had a tasting with Chateau, and actually, yes, indeed, the quote was from Tarek, the winemaker from Chateau that we just mentioned. But he also said, I am an oenologist. I'm a winemaker, so I'm an oenoloog, we call it. But he said, actually, I'm not an oenologist. I'm a gynecologist. I give birth to the wine. And really, it was right on the top. I really like that expression.
Yes.
So, are there any questions from people to these 5 winemakers?
I don't see a lot of questions in the chat. I think things were very clear, and people are impressed, I think. I see some nice quotes about the winemakers and the way they they tell the story and the way they make the wine. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think what we heard from the 5 female winemakers now was that it's, as I understood, hard work, but it's, how can I say, being really busy with how to do it and what you want to achieve, and going for it 200%, not 100%, but 200%. And what I also liked is that it's always want to improve the way you work and wanting to improve your wines and testing some new things. Like I heard Anna saying, I was thinking about using music, but I didn't do it until maybe now, because I hear some other colleagues, winemakers, who use music and who say it works, it really works, as Vanessa said. So let this be the start, and that we can say she got the idea at a wine tasting of Start2Taste. About using music in the winery, and that we were part of it, of the idea. So that would be nice, huh? So we can tell the story afterwards, you know.
Of course.
So from our part, and I think from everyone, people are saying that it was very good and very clear. And then someone is asking, are female winemakers more inclined to make natural wines? Is it a female thing, natural wines, or not? So I will pop up the question to, for example, Liedewin. You talked about organic, so.
Yes, but I also know men who are so inclined and ambitious and passionate about natural winemaking. It's not more women than men, I think.
Do the other winemakers agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think winemaking is more a question of couple, in fact, because you need a man to carry the things, to put the things behind the tractor. You cannot do that all alone. I try, it's impossible. It's technically impossible. You have to be at least 2 and a lot of children behind, and that's perfect. You cannot do wine all alone. You need a team.
Yeah.
My man is a doctor.
A gynecologist, no. No, I think, so I have a question here for Vanessa. Someone is, il y a quelqu'un qui demande pourquoi le choix pour les pays très spécifiques?
Pourquoi le cépage? Parce que je cherchais, I can try in English now. I drink a bit of wine, maybe it's going to help me. So because at the beginning we would like to do a specific wine of Belgium, so we thought if you use Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, it's going to be like other wines or a bit similar. And we would like to, as we are a new viticultural country, we imagine in our dreams to become a country and with a special identity. And as the new variety Piwi arrive on the market, I think it's a good opportunity to use them. And so that's why we try. And of course, before planting them, we went to try the Piwis to other countries to see what they looks like after 1 year. And we are very convinced. That's why we decide to go straight on with this variety of wine.
It's like being a trendsetter in Belgium.
I hope it's going to be, but I'm not so sure, because many Belgian winery, there are many more winery now, but most of them planting Vitis vinifera variety. Mm-hmm. So I'm not so sure it's going to be a Belgium identity. I don't think so, but it doesn't matter. I don't change my mind. Me, I like working with this, and there we are.
Yeah, you should. You should. Okay.
Is someone of the ladies, female winemakers, who wants to add something as a conclusion or as, I don't know, an experience or a story you want to share?
I wanted to say that Dimitri is right, that all the wines are very elegant. So even the Priorat, which indeed is normally very blockbuster, it's very fine, but all the other ones as well. So it's also very fine to meet colleagues who make nice wines. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a bit the style of the house of
To
Start2Taste.
organize a tasting with the all of us, then we can meet for real.
Yes.
Yes.
I will organize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year, March 8th, physically in Belgium.
Yes. And you bring the bubbles.
Yes. But they're already with Dimitri, so he has them.
All right.
No, that's a good idea. Yes.
So the conclusion, my conclusion a little bit is the elegance that which we talked about, just confirmed, check. But also what I heard a lot was that they are, what I read between the lines, that they are innovative. So everyone is doing something which another is not doing. They are pushing the line a little bit higher, so which is a very good thing. So original they are for sure. Every 5 of them which is here, they're doing something which another one does not do. And with a lot of respect for everything, for the environment, seeing it on the long term. So the question about making natural wines and things like that. So you really are focused on long term. And yeah, everybody has jumped actually in an adventure. So congratulations, you succeeded very well. I hope you may continue for years to come, so we all can enjoy your children that you gave birth every year again. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for making magnificent wine. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So from my part also, congrats to every female winemaker here present. Thanks to everyone who is amongst us to join this digital tasting. Dimitri, anything? I will send tomorrow a mail with a link, because we recorded this session also, so you can always check afterwards. And you will also have the lists of all the wines. So surely I will send some overview and the link tomorrow.
Yeah, and everyone who wants to order from the whole range from everybody, so there is a lot of wines to choose now, they can have a promotion of -10%. So that's actually the people who want to thank you for being here, for being present. So je hebt 10% korting op alles die hierop staat. En dit zal, maar morgen gaan we nog een keer bevestigen per mail. Ja. Dit zal dan duren tot toen een dag of 3 dat je kunt het bestellen. En dus tot eind deze week. Dan verzamelen we alle bestellingen en kunnen we dan ook alles finaliseren natuurlijk. En ook het goede nieuws brengen naar alle wijnmaaksters van hoe goed ze het wel gedaan hebben natuurlijk.
Als je zou bestellen, doe het dan gewoon in antwoord op mijn mail. Doe het niet online, want online kunnen we die korting van -10% nog niet geven. Dus geef dan gewoon, als je wijn zou nodig hebben, gewoon een antwoordje van ja, dat of dat hebben we nodig. En zoals dat Dimitri zegt, gaan we dan alles groeperen. In the meantime, just want to say that we get a lot of reactions from the audience. And if someone is saying, okay, it's a very nice thing we did this evening, and next meeting will be next year in live with all you female winemakers. So yeah, we put it in the agenda, let's say. Okay, so thanks a lot, everyone. We declare the cafe open. That means that you can leave this meeting, but you can also stay. We also always have a little cafe afterwards. That means that everyone can speak, and if you want to, you can stay. If you had questions and you didn't dare to tell them, you can tell them maybe now. So if you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to leave, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So